Article published by IEEE Spectrum on April 2021. A study by NASA that estimated the probability of a person on the ground being hit by a piece of debris from a failing Starlink satellite to be around 0.03%, or 1 in 3,200. The claim about potential harm from falling Starlink satellites is based on an analysis published in IEEE Spectrum in February 2020. The analysis estimated that up to 45% of the satellites could potentially land in areas where people live, and that some of the debris from those satellites could potentially cause injury or death. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel where we explore the latest discoveries and news in science and technology. In this video, we'll be talking about the Starlink project by SpaceX and why some of its satellites are falling back to Earth. We'll also discuss some of the similarities between Starlink and the Strategic Defense Initiative program, also known as the Star Wars program, which was proposed by the United States during the Cold War. In 2022, Elon Musk's company SpaceX launches 49 Starlink satellites into orbit around the Earth. These satellites are part of a constellation of thousands of satellites that will provide high-speed internet access to people around the world. Unfortunately, due to some unforeseen circumstances, 40 of the 49 satellites launched by SpaceX fall out of orbit and crash back down to Earth. From 2019 to 2023, SpaceX launched a total of 3,912 Starlink satellites into orbit around the Earth, as part of their ambitious plan to provide high-speed internet. However, out of these 3,912 satellites, 305 have fallen down from orbit. There could be several reasons why these satellites fell down from orbit. Some of them might have suffered technical malfunctions, such as problems with their propulsion or guidance systems, that prevented them from staying in orbit. Others might have collided with other objects in space, such as space debris or other satellites, which caused them to lose their stability and fall back to Earth. The falling of so many satellites could have several consequences. Okay, now let's take a look on the Star Wars program. Also known as the Strategic Defense Initiative, SDI, was a proposal by the United States during the Cold War to develop a space-based defense system to protect against intercontinental ballistic missile (ICBM) attacks. The program was first proposed by US President Ronald Reagan in 1983, and it was intended as a response to the perceived threat posed by Soviet nuclear weapons. The Star Wars program was seen as a way to counter the Soviet Union's missile defense capabilities, which were considered by the United States to be a significant threat. The Star Wars program was eventually abandoned by the United States government in 1993. During the presidency of Bill Clinton, the program faced significant technical and financial challenges, and its effectiveness as a missile defense system was widely debated. Additionally, the end of the Cold War in the early 1990s shifted the focus of US national security away from the threat of a nuclear attack by the Soviet Union. As a result, the need for a space-based missile defense system became less urgent, and the program was scaled back and eventually cancelled. After 22 years in 2015, Elon Musk started Star Wars program again but changed the name and purposes. Starlink is a satellite constellation developed by SpaceX. The goal of SpaceX's Starlink project is to create a global satellite internet network that would provide high-speed internet access to people around the world, including in remote and underserved areas. This is achieved by launching a large constellation of small satellites into low Earth orbit, which communicate with ground stations and provide internet access to users on the ground. Now wish to know the similarities between SDI and Starlinks. There are some similarities between the Strategic Defense Initiative, SDI, program, also known as the Star Wars program, and the Starlink project by SpaceX in terms of their use of satellite technology. One of the similarities is that both the SDI and the Starlink project involve the use of satellites in space. The SDI program would use satellites to detect and destroy incoming missiles. Similarly, the Starlink project involves the deployment of a large constellation of satellites in low Earth orbit, which would provide internet access to people around the world. Another similarity is that both programs are high-tech and require significant investment and research and development. The SDI program was a major initiative by the United States government during the Cold War, and it required significant resources to develop and test the proposed technology. Similarly, the Starlink project is a major initiative by SpaceX and involves significant investment in research, development, and infrastructure. The Starlink satellites are small satellites that communicate with ground stations on Earth, using radio frequencies and with each other using laser links. Users connect to a small antenna called a Starlink user terminal, which communicates with the satellites to access the internet. The satellites are in low Earth orbit and provide global coverage. But why are these satellites falling? And why isn't SpaceX doing anything about it? Well, the truth is that SpaceX is doing a lot to prevent these incidents. For example, the Starlink satellite constellation uses an autonomous collision avoidance system to prevent collisions with other objects in space. In September 2021, the system was used to move one of the Starlink satellites out of the way of a potential collision with a defunct satellite from another company. While the Starlink satellites are equipped with an autonomous collision avoidance system to prevent collisions with other objects in space, they may still experience drag and other forces that cause them to gradually lose altitude and eventually fall out of orbit. These forces can be caused by a variety of factors, including atmospheric drag and gravitational forces from the Earth and Moon. In addition, as more and more satellites are launched into orbit, the likelihood of collisions increases, making it even more challenging to maintain a stable orbit. Therefore, while the autonomous collision avoidance system helps to prevent collisions with other objects, it cannot completely prevent the forces that cause the satellites to fall out of orbit over time. Elon Musk has previously stated that the Starlink satellite constellation is designed to operate safely in orbit, and that the company is taking measures to minimize any potential risks. He has emphasized that the company's goal is to ensure that no one is harmed as a result of the Starlink program. Regarding the 40 Starlink satellites that fell, Musk has stated that it was due to an engineering mistake, specifically the failure of a component in the satellite's propulsion system. The company has since made changes to the design and manufacturing process to prevent similar failures in the future. Musk has also stated that the Starlink program is operating under close scrutiny from regulatory agencies, including the Federal Communications Commission, FCC, and the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, to ensure that it meets all safety and environmental requirements. Reason behind the falling of Mini V2 satellite? The exact reasons behind the falling of some miniature tracking and data relay satellite version 2, Mini version 2, satellites are unclear, but may be related to design compromises due to their lightweight and low-cost nature, rapid development, and less focus and resources as compared to the primary Starlink program. SpaceX is continually improving its satellite technology to ensure safe and reliable operation. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.